I used to make quite a few of these metal ornaments out of cookie cutters or little cake molds for Christmas or Easter or Valentine's Day. And I haven't done any in a while, but I decided to make some because I recently found some of these little tin molds very inexpensively, Pattiepan and a cookie cutter and several other things. And this is just a Christmas card that's been cut out to the shape of the rabbit, glued in, and then I put some 3D elements in it like the holly, the trees, and then I put some sparkles on it. I put some PVA glue over the top to stabilize it, and then there's that little pipe cleaner in there, which is sparkly, sort of tinfoily sort of thing. And then it has its handle, so it's kind of picture stand instead of being an ornament. You could hang it on a tree, but I kind of like it maybe for a table and maybe put it next to a candle or something. I'm turning this little tin shovel into a Christmas ornament. I don't know how old it is. It looks pretty old. And what I did is I printed off a piece of an old Christmas card from the Victorian era, and I cut it and rounded it using one of these so that it would round off fairly well. Now this is not symmetrical, the little shovel, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to get it in there exactly as I want it, and but it'll be around there somewhere. I glued this down with Elmer's glue, and then I put Mod Podge over it, and now I'm going to glue in the trim. I also put some decorative mica on top. I sprinkled that on before the Mod Podge dried. Okay, that seems to be working all right. Hopefully that'll stay put. Okay, I'll trim that afterwards. See if I can get that to stay down where it ought to. And then I'll pull all those little strings off, glue strings. Okay. All right. Okay, I think we're making progress here. Now I have to think about what else I can do with this. Maybe a vintage silk bow in red at the top might look okay. I don't want to do too much to it because I don't want to take away from that beautiful little picture. Again, I'll just bring it up so you can see it. It's a cute little picture. It's Victorian. This is antique silk ribbon from the turn of the century. And it's has some stains on it. The color is faded in some places. I actually got 4 rolls of this, and this was folded up and off of the roll. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a piece of this along this bias side and try to make it long enough. Might be a little uneven, but that'll add to the charm. Make sure it's long enough. And if I cut too much, I can use pieces somewhere else. Let's try that. Okay, let's put this on. It's kind of cute, like sort of worn out. I think this is done. I don't want to overdo it. You can go too far with embellishments. This again is the rabbit and cookie cutter. So the next one I'm going to do is, I'm going to put this one aside, is in this little Pattiepan, vintage Pattiepan. And I picked these tags up at the dollar store, gosh, maybe 5 years ago. And they have these little winter scenes. Here's a couple more. I just have to decide which one to put in. I like this red one, but they're all kind of cute. So as soon as I decide, then I'll do something with this. And it looks like it's a pretty good fit, whatever one I decide on. I decided which one to use. It's going to be this one right here. See if I can get close. And I'm going to use this circle tool to just make sure that it's completely rounded off. Looks like it's pretty close, and then I will put something over that hole where the string went for the tag. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back. I'm being a little fussy with this, but I don't know if it's going to fit in the Pattiepan correctly, and I don't want to push it in and have it wrinkle after I put glue on it. So I'm just trimming it, and then I'll put that in. So I've glued the picture in, and you can see there's this little hole here, but that'll be covered, so that should just be fine. And I'm just going to get my glue gun out, and I'll glue this piece in. This is a more vintage style trim, and it's very stiff, and I used it on a little antique shovel, but I didn't use it on the rabbit cookie mold because it was too thick. I used another type of trim, which is just basically a silver pipe cleaner. So I'll glue this on around here, and I'll be back. Alright, I've glued that on with some hot glue. And the next thing I'm going to do is I have these little pieces of Christmas tree. I'm going to position them here and maybe here and glue those on. And then I have a couple more steps and this will be finished. So I'll just do that. These are actually cut off from these larger ones. And since they were just a bit too big, I just cut the tops off. And I've had these for some time, these little Christmas trees. I probably bought these on Amazon. I try not to buy too much stuff because I really try to use either what I have or use things that have been used before. I use a lot of things too that are considered trash by most people. So I put those little trees in, and there's a little strange stick sticking in there, but we'll worry about that later. Now I'm going to get some mica glitter and put it around in various places to mimic snow and ice. Here's a diamond glitter that I've had for years, absolutely years. I'm going to use a little bit of that, and I'm going to also use this decorative mica. And I've had this for many years as well. You just don't need that much, it turns out. I'm just going to take a dollar store brush and let me get my little piece of paper out here that I use for collecting glitter, and apply a little bit of this Elmer's glue all, which is water soluble, but it's pretty strong stuff. And I open up my glitter here. I'm going to use the diamond dust first, and then I'll probably add a little bit of the mica as well. I'm pretty sure I'm going to. So I'm just going to use my little dollar store brush to apply a little bit of glue. And put a little bit more on the roof and on the trees, in the snow, just to give it a little more decorative quality. All right. Okay. There. I think that looks pretty good. And I'm going to fold this up and put the glitter back in the container. My mother used to always say, waste not, want not, all the time when I was growing up. I'm sure somebody in your family said that too. My mother grew up during the Depression, and so they didn't have very much money, and life was very difficult, and they made the most of what they had. Now I'm going to get a little bit of this mica and add that on. I have some still in a little plastic bag from the other project I did, so let's see, how is this going to fit in? This is pretty chunky stuff, so you kind of have to be careful with it. It does add a little bit more of a vintage look, I believe, but you do, like I said, have to be careful not to overdo it because they're very irregular pieces. And maybe I'll put a little dot around each here, see where it'll fall, just to see what that looks like. And then I'm going to put a ribbon on the bottom as well, so let's see what happens. I'm going to get my mica out. I had some out of the box already, so I'll just see what I mean by these big pieces, and they're not easily broken up unless you take a X-Acto knife to them or something. But I'm just gonna see if I can get some of them to stick around the edges, and then the remainder of them I'll put away. But as I said, they have a more vintage look, and mica is a naturally occurring mineral. Been used in lanterns and stoves and windows for a very long time. Okay, let's put some of that in there. It gives it a little bit more of an earthy. See if I can get this all. Get these bigger pieces out. Put some. Alright, I think it's one little piece over here didn't really get stuck, so I think I'll just add that. And I don't know if you can see it. There's quite a large piece that I don't think I want right here. So I'm going to take that and move it so that the fence is not obliterated. That's in there. I'll just pile this up over here. And I think that looks a little better. Okay. So this is my dollar store tag, and I think I already showed this in the other video I did. That there were these tags that I bought some years ago from the dollar store, and back then it was $1. Now it's $1.25 at Dollar Tree and similar places. But of course that's because of inflation, so that's what happens. So anyway, I had these for years, and it just so happened that that little tag fit exactly in this little Pattiepan, and I'm going to dump that over a little bit. And I'll put some with some epoxy, I'll put hangers on these eventually. And, well, I'm going to make the bow now, so I'm going to dump my mica back in its container because I don't want to waste it. Make sure there's not too much foreign stuff in there, and go on to the next step. I'm just going to grab this silk thread that I use for sewing. I don't usually use it for stuff like this, but it's a similar color, so I'm just going to cut a little piece of it off and wax it with some beeswax. My husband used to be a beekeeper, so we have a lot of beeswax around, and honey still. We don't do it anymore. Whoops, I broke that. I was a little too rough with it. But I'll be careful with the next the next pass. All right, let's just draw it a little more carefully. Waxing thread makes it easier to work with in many respects. I wax my thread when I sew doll clothes and clothes for my husband and I, and when I sew for gifts or crafts or whatever. So anyway, I'm going to just take this bow and I'm just going to wrap it, and hopefully that will turn out well enough. And let's see here, I'll tighten it up. I'm going to grab that, make it a little more even. Oh, I see what happened. The back came out. Well, no problem. I'll just keep wrapping it, and it should turn out just fine. Again, it's a little ragged. This is very delicate, this ribbon, because it's so old, but I like it like that. I don't like things to necessarily look too finished. I like to have a little bit of, well, I don't know what you would call it, homemade look to it. It is homemade after all, so. But I think that adds to part of its appeal. And I just don't want things to look like I bought them in a department store, if you know what I mean. I have nothing against department stores. I've enjoyed shopping at them in the past. But, well, anyway. Okay, that's the first part of the bow. Then what I'm going to do is retrim this ribbon a little bit. I didn't do a great job on trimming it first place, so I'll just cut some more of it off, make it a little thinner at the ends, and I'll just compare them here so that I can do them similarly. I'm just going to put a drop of glue okay. And let's see. Okay, there, I glued the bow on, and I believe this is done. There's the little cabin in the hills on a snowy winter day with the trees. It's a little Pattiepan wreath. So now we have 3 that I've made, and I'm going to put them together here. That one, cookie cutter one, sets up. I'm leaving the handle on it so that it sets up like a little picture with its own stand. But for this picture, I'll move it so you can see it. And then the wreath. Here's the 2 I demonstrated. I didn't demonstrate how I did the cookie cutter with the rabbit. But I'll talk about that a little. The holly leaves are actually from this glue that I put into a mold, and then when it cooled, I took them out and painted them with acrylic paint. It's the same with these little trees. And then I applied that diamond glitter. I didn't use the mica on this one. I just didn't think it needed it. And then I used a pipe cleaner that instead of this heavier trim to go around the inside of the rabbit because it was more pliable and thinner. And I think it works out pretty well. And I think I paid 75 cents for this little cookie mold. It's very old. I paid 75 cents for this little tin shovel. I paid, I think, 50 cents for this little Pattiepan. So there was this antique store that had all of these little tin things, and I bought a number of things. I have a heart, a couple of hearts that I purchased. Again, little heart. I may save these for Valentine's Day and do something with them. And this larger pan, and it has a bit of a dent hole in the middle of it. I might make a wreath, something similar to this with this one. And then I have this other little, it looks like a doll toy. This one does. Little pan. And that looks like it's quite old too. I'm uncertain what era that's from, but it certainly isn't from the 1960s or 50s. It's way before that, so. I'll show you some other things that I made some years ago. I think I made these maybe 6 and 7 years ago, and I just got them out of storage. I haven't used them as decorations, but I will this year. And here they are, some of them. And I have more. Here in the US, we say aluminum. In England, you say aluminium, but they're cake molds or bun molds. Whatever. They're aluminum, as I said, and they're probably from the 1940s and 1950s. They did make something like this in the 1960s, but I think these are a little bit older. There's mainly bells and stars, the shapes that I have. And as I said, I made these a number of years ago. I sold them in my antiques booth store, but some of them aren't quite finished. Here's a Father Christmas with some mica in it. And this one actually needs a little bit of refurbishing. I sold them for $6, and that was quite a few years ago, actually. And these are the ones I didn't think turned out as well, so, or I didn't finish them, so I didn't actually put them in the store. I marked the prices on them, but I never sold them, obviously. This has some little nativity scene thing in it. I don't know where I got that. It's some kind of plastic. And this isn't quite finished either. I don't know what else I could do to it, but if you have any suggestions, let me know. Here's a little vintage deer, plastic deer. That's, by the way, the cotton on the bottom is from an old piece of nativity batting that they would put under the nativity scene. It has little bits of glitter in it, colored glitter, and I salvaged that from an old nativity scene, so I started using it in these little molds. Here's a little image from a Christmas card from the Renaissance, and I think that's finished. I don't think I would put any more in that one. It's a star, another bell, and that has the batting in the background, the vintage batting, and some mica, and some vintage holly from some other decoration that I pulled it off of, and reused. That's the batting again in the background. Little bell. Another bell with a little scene of a man in the right lower corner in a log cabin. And Father Christmas again with some pine cones. This isn't quite finished either. I didn't put any trim on it, and I may do that in the future because I'd like to hang them on my tree this year. This is a brand new channel. If you liked what you saw and you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe and push the notification button. I'll be bringing more videos every week, assemblage art. I'll be working on dollhouse miniatures and dollhouses and box art, book art, and much more. So goodbye from my homestead in the Midwest, and I look forward to doing more videos as the days go by.